Data analysis, whether it is numerical or descriptive, is vital for any research project. Quantitative studies depend on statistical analysis of numerical data to find patterns, test hypotheses, and establish correlations. On the other hand, qualitative research employs descriptive analysis, interpreting textual or observational data to reveal themes, meanings, and narratives. In any case, thorough analysis guarantees that data is converted into valuable insights that respond to research questions and enhance understanding of the topic. Session learning outcomes. There are two learning outcomes. The first is to grasp data analysis in both qualitative and quantitative research projects. The second is to comprehend the statistical methods for data analysis in quantitative research projects. Data analysis. Data analysis transforms raw data into actionable insights. It encompasses a systematic process of cleaning, inspecting, transforming, and modeling data to uncover patterns, relationships, trends, and anomalies. This is done through a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data using analytical and statistical tools. Why is data analysis important? Data analysis is vital for research projects because it converts raw information into actionable insights. By systematically examining data, researchers can uncover hidden patterns, trends, and correlations. This process enables them to draw informed conclusions, validate or refute hypotheses, and develop evidence-based findings. Ultimately, data analysis strengthens the rigor and reliability of research, leading to more impactful and trustworthy results. Qualitative and quantitative data. Quantitative data, typically organized in structured formats such as databases with rows and columns, enables easy analysis. This organization supports statistical calculations, trend spotting, and comparisons. Examples consist of numerical values like sales numbers, customer ages, or product costs. The structured format of quantitative data allows for easy searching, sorting, and automated analysis with tools like spreadsheets or statistical software. This is different from unstructured data, which needs more complicated processing before analysis can take place. Qualitative data offers detailed insights that quantitative data often overlooks. Its unstructured form, text, images, video, audio, enables a deeper grasp of context, motivations, and experiences. To analyze this data, various methods such as thematic analysis, sentiment analysis, and discourse analysis are used to uncover patterns and meanings. Although it can be difficult to analyze on a large scale, qualitative data is essential for investigating complex issues, forming hypotheses, and guiding strategic decisions by presenting a human-centered viewpoint. Quantitative data focuses on numerical information that can be objectively measured and statistically analyzed. This includes counts, measurements, and anything that can be expressed as a number. Examples are age, height, test scores, revenue, and frequency of occurrences. The strength of quantitative data lies in its ability to be easily aggregated, compared, and used to identify trends and patterns, ultimately supporting evidence-based decision-making. Quantitative data analysis techniques focus on the statistical, mathematical, or numerical analysis of, usually large, datasets. This includes the manipulation of statistical data using computational techniques and algorithms. Quantitative analysis techniques are often used to explain certain phenomena or to make predictions. Qualitative data inherently describes qualities and characteristics instead of numerical values. This lack of direct measurability results in subjective interpretation. Although researchers aim for rigor, the analysis depends on understanding context, recognizing patterns, and attributing meaning to observations. This process inevitably includes the researcher's viewpoint, which can affect how the data is interpreted. Methods such as triangulation and member checking assist in reducing subjectivity and enhancing the reliability and validity of qualitative results. Some examples of qualitative data include comments left in response to a survey question, things people have said during interviews, tweets and other social media posts, and the text included in product reviews. With qualitative data analysis, the focus is on making sense of unstructured data, such as written text or transcripts of spoken conversations. Often, qualitative analysis will organize the data into themes, a process which, fortunately, can be automated. Qualitative data analysis. Qualitative data analysis involves examining non-numerical or categorical information to uncover patterns, themes, and meanings. Here are some commonly used methods for analyzing qualitative data. Thematic analysis. Thematic analysis is a qualitative research method used to identify, analyze, and report patterns, themes, within data. It involves systematically organizing data by coding relevant excerpts, grouping these codes into candidate themes, reviewing and refining the themes, and then defining and naming them. This iterative process reveals underlying meanings and interpretations within the data, providing a rich and detailed understanding of the phenomenon being studied. Thematic analysis aims to make sense of collective or shared meanings and experiences. Content analysis. Content analysis is a research method used to systematically analyze textual, visual, or auditory data to identify patterns, themes, and meanings. It involves coding and categorizing data based on predefined or emergent categories, allowing researchers to quantify and interpret qualitative information. The process typically includes defining research questions, selecting a sample, developing a coding scheme, coding the data, and analyzing the results to draw conclusions about the communication content and its implications. It offers a structured and objective approach to understanding communication trends, biases, and social representations. Narrative analysis. Narrative analysis is a research method used to explore the meaning people ascribe to their experiences through the stories they tell. It focuses on analyzing the structure, content, and context of narratives to uncover underlying themes, perspectives, and social meanings. By examining how individuals construct and share their experiences, narrative analysis can reveal insights into identity formation, cultural values, power dynamics, and individual or collective understanding of events. Different approaches exist, ranging from focusing on narrative structure to thematic content analysis and broader socio-cultural contexts surrounding the story. Grounded theory. Grounded theory is a research methodology that develops theories inductively from data. Unlike deductive approaches that test pre-existing hypotheses, grounded theory starts with data collection, which is then systematically analyzed through iterative cycles of coding and categorization. Constant comparison, a core principle, involves continuously comparing data incidents to identify patterns and relationships. These emergent patterns form theoretical concepts and ultimately lead to the development of a theory grounded in the empirical data itself, providing explanatory frameworks for the phenomenon under investigation. Quantitative data analysis. Quantitative data analysis involves analyzing numerical data to uncover statistical patterns, relationships, and trends. Here are some commonly used methods for analyzing quantitative data. Descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics provides a succinct overview of a dataset. Key measures include mean, the average value; median, the central value when data is ordered; mode, the most frequent value; standard deviation, measures data spread around the mean; percentages, represent proportions of categorical data. These tools allow for efficient summarization and understanding of the data's central tendency, variability, and distribution, aiding in initial data analysis and interpretation. Inferential statistics. Inferential statistics leverages sample data to make generalizations about a larger population. This is achieved through techniques like hypothesis testing, where we assess the probability of observing sample data if a null hypothesis about the population is true. T-tests compare means between groups to infer population differences. Regression analysis models relationships between variables within a sample, allowing us to predict population trends and estimate the impact of changes. Crucially, inferential statistics acknowledges uncertainty and provides a framework for quantifying the reliability of these conclusions. Data mining. Data mining employs algorithms and statistical techniques to uncover hidden patterns, correlations, and insights within large datasets. It transforms raw data into actionable knowledge. Key functionalities include association rule learning, identifying relationships between items. Classification, categorizing data into predefined classes, clustering, grouping similar data points, regression, predicting numerical values, and anomaly detection, identifying unusual data points. These techniques are applied across diverse fields like marketing, finance, and healthcare to improve decision-making, predict trends, and optimize processes. Experimental design. Experimental design is crucial for establishing cause and effect relationships. It involves manipulating an independent variable, the cause, while controlling all other variables to observe its effect on a dependent variable, the effect. Key elements include a control group, no manipulation, and an experimental group, manipulation. Random assignment of participants to groups minimizes bias. By isolating the independent variable's impact, experiments provide strong evidence for causality, differentiating them from observational studies that only show correlation. Proper replication and statistical analysis further strengthen the findings. Descriptive analysis. Descriptive statistics are crucial for summarizing and understanding the characteristics of a dataset. They provide a clear overview of the sample through measures like central tendency, mean, median, mode, and dispersion, standard deviation, range. These statistics allow researchers to identify patterns, outliers, and the overall shape of the data's distribution. Unlike inferential statistics, which we'll get to soon, descriptive statistics don't aim to make inferences or predictions about the entire population, they're purely interested in the details of your specific sample. When you're writing up your analysis, descriptive statistics are the first set of stats you'll cover, before moving on to inferential statistics. But, that said, depending on your research objectives and research questions, they may be the only type of statistics you use. Some common statistical tests used in this branch include the following. Mean, this is simply the mathematical average of a range of numbers. Median, this is the midpoint in a range of numbers when the numbers are arranged in numerical order. Median, if the data set makes up an odd number, then the median is the number right in the middle of the set. If the data set makes up an even number, then the median is the midpoint between the two middle numbers. Mode, this is simply the most commonly occurring number in the data set. Standard deviation, this metric indicates how dispersed a range of numbers is. In other words, how close all the numbers are to the mean, the average. In cases where most of the numbers are quite close to the average, the standard deviation will be relatively low. Conversely, in cases where the numbers are scattered all over the place, the standard deviation will be relatively high. Skewness, as the name suggests, skewness indicates how symmetrical a range of numbers is. In other words, do they tend to cluster into a smooth bell curve shape in the middle of the graph, or do they skew to the left or right? Inferential analysis. Inferential statistics aim to make inferences about the population. In other words, you'll use inferential statistics to make predictions about what you'd expect to find in the full population. What kind of predictions, you ask? Well, there are two common types of predictions that researchers try to make using inferential stats. Firstly, predictions about differences between groups, for example, height differences between children grouped by their favorite meal or gender. And secondly, relationships between variables, for example, the relationship between body weight and the number of hours a week a person does yoga. First up are t-tests. T-tests compare the means, the averages, of two groups of data to assess whether they're statistically significantly different. In other words, do they have significantly different means, standard deviations, and skewness? This type of testing is very useful for understanding just how similar or different two groups of data are. For example, you might want to compare the mean blood pressure between two groups of people, one that has taken a new medication and one that hasn't, to assess whether they are significantly different. Kicking things up a level, we have ANOVA, which stands for Analysis of Variance. This test is similar to a t-test in that it compares the means of various groups, but ANOVA allows you to analyze multiple groups, not just two groups, so it's basically a t-test on steroids. Correlation analysis. This type of analysis assesses the relationship between two variables. In other words, if one variable increases, does the other variable also increase, decrease, or stay the same? For example, if the average temperature goes up, do average ice cream sales increase too? We'd expect some sort of relationship between these two variables intuitively, but correlation analysis allows us to measure that relationship scientifically. Regression analysis. This is quite similar to correlation in that it assesses the relationship between variables, but it goes a step further to understand cause and effect between variables, not just whether they move together. In other words, does the one variable actually cause the other one to move, or do they just happen to move together naturally thanks to another force? Just because two variables correlate doesn't necessarily mean that one causes the other. Thank you for listening to me.